Hello, welcome to the stream, everybody. Tonight we are going to be hanging out and playing some Super Mario Brothers. I don't know why this isn't working. Maybe Edge just doesn't work with this? Maybe I have to dig into that. Does it work over here? Maybe it works over here. Oh hey, look, it's me. Hello me, you're very pretty. I like your face. Anyway, welcome Wrath Gaming and Chrissy Art, as well as Painstakingly Played. I'm the Chris who plays games, and I'm going to be playing games for a little while at least. I will not be playing to my usual time, self, etc. I'm going to have to be up at early o'clock in the morning, so tonight we're just going to run through and see how quickly I can beat Super Mario Brothers. So, I don't have a split timer set up or anything else like that. If I get a little bit of time later, maybe we'll do one, but we'll hang out, we'll play a few runs through until at least the CPG Rant and see how I feel after that. Hello, Avery Johnson and Proto Sam. So, speedruns of Super Mario Brothers without any real timers, just kind of going through and seeing how speedy I can make it. So, that's the plan for the evening. Thank you all for being here and hanging out tonight. And, hello, Inuyugi. So, I'm not doing Warpless. I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm just going to go through and play some Super Mario Brothers as quickly as I can figure out how to beat it. So, yeah. Hope you're all having a lovely night. I, mentioned on Twitter earlier today in response to someone asked if I was pumped up for this week. And I said, today I get the opportunity to celebrate the life of the smartest engineer I will probably ever have the joy of knowing. Unfortunately, I'm celebrating his life at his wake. So, it could be better, could be worse. My father-in-law was an absolutely brilliant engineer who worked at GE during the space race years and shared some of his life with me throughout that story, or throughout his stories, and he passed away last week. So we were at the wake earlier tonight, which is why I did not start at 9:15. And so we are back, and I am ready to rock some Super Mario. Hello, Subtacy and James Holder and everybody else. Yeah, no, I mean, I totally appreciate people who are sorry for my loss, and I appreciate the condolences. It does mean a lot to me. On the other hand, this is a man who was 79 years old, who's watched, men walk on the moon, who whose wife had passed away last year, and frankly, who was ready to go. Every time for the past 5 years I had seen Nelson, I had known that there was a chance it would be the last time. And so, as much as it does hurt, and it is sad to lose someone anytime you lose someone, I think that having lived a full life and, had a full opportunity to say goodbye to his family many times over the final years of his life as he suffered through a degenerative disease, it's not the worst it could be. So, buffering, oh man. Well, I think it is not me. I think it is YouTube. I did mean to turn off my experimental features because I know that there's at least one problem with them, but unfortunately I forgot. So you're all just gonna have to deal with it. If buffering happens, please feel free to continue to report it, and I will continue to investigate. But do not. I apologize for putting you in that state. So. Yeah, so Chrissy, the setup that I'm using at the moment is ultra low latency, and the ultra low latency setup is an experimental setup where we are working out the kinks. So some people experience buffering when everybody maybe or does or doesn't. So yeah, and so my father-in-law got to spend the last long time living with his wife of, 50 odd years. He's been, married since early on in life, had 5 kids, was, working at GE as an engineer for years and years. and was a great guy. You know, he got a chance to be in the legislature in New Hampshire. He got a chance to live in New Hampshire and Virginia and New York and see a lot of the world. He went flying and sailing and cruising and all kinds of other things. So overall, he's had a lot of chances to do good things in the world and see good things. And since his wife passed away last year, he's mostly just wanted to be with her. So why can I not? There we go. I don't know what was up with that. So thank you, Chris GCA. I love you. Audio out of sync. Okay. I think the audio out of sync is maybe on my end. I have not done anything. Like I noticed that earlier when I was looking at it. So all right, M0. As I was saying, my Jess's dad, my father-in-law, passed away last Sunday, and we just got back from the wake earlier tonight. So, you know, a little bit sad because it's always sad to lose someone that you love, but you know, losing someone you love after a life well lived in the comfort of their own home is definitely among the better ways to go. You know, following his wife of many years. So, I think that you know, the biggest thing for him is actually this is a guy who had more energy than I did. When he was 71 years old, he was teaching himself Python and asking for my help in debugging his programs. When he was you know, in his late 60s, he was working as a legislator in the New Hampshire State Legislature, which, by the way, pays you a salary of a handsome $200 every 2 years. So, you know, it's one of those things you do for love, not for money. And, you know, so he was absolutely someone who was always doing, and unfortunately, because of you know, a disability he had, he was unable to do many of those things over the end of his life. And so that's absolutely something that, you know, I am sure, and I saw this in him, that he was so frustrated with being bedbound and not able to do all the things that he used to do, whether it was, you know, on the computer or anywhere else in life. You know, he would still spend a bunch of time telling me every day, you know, the weather patterns in Bangor, Maine, and how that was going to affect the flights that we saw out front as we sat in the wheelchair and enjoyed the view outside his house every day. You know, he still did as much as he could, but you know, being someone who was always doing and then being disabled, I know has got to be devastating. And I said, you know, I'm just super happy that he was able to, you know, pass peacefully before he lost the ability to use his hands, because I think that would have just been completely devastating for him. So, so yeah, it's sad, but it's also understandable that, you know, it was time. It was time to go, and now he gets to be with his wife, and you know, or, you know, worms, I don't know. But if you believe in the afterlife, hopefully, I know that this is the type of person that both he and his wife were great people for their entire lives, and if there is such a thing, I am sure that he will be, you know, as well suited as you can be, because he certainly earned it. But yeah, so what the hell? Oh, I think hold on one second. I was just like, what is making those noises? But I just realized I have this stream open in another window in Edge where it does not work. Okay. I kept hearing like little snippets of my voice like pop out like bleh, bleh, bleh. But of course that is just because when you test new features, this is what happens. Brad to the Pritchard, welcome to the stream, my friend. God damn it. Yeah, so I mean, Nelson was lucky insofar as, you know, despite many of the illnesses he had, he never really lost his mind. And for someone who cared so deeply about doing things and knowing things, I know that would have been devastating as well. So that was a brilliant falling into that hole, wasn't it? Yeah, I said I'm working a little bit on picking up some... So I'd really like to be able to do a Super Mario run in 10 minutes. Like, that is my ideal. I would like to be able to do, like, a no-death, you know, with warps, everything else like that, Super Mario Brothers run in less than 10 minutes. That's my goal. I don't want to be, like, a super speed runner, but that's what I would like to do. And I'm not going to get there tonight, but that's one of my goals. Just because I would love to be able to, like, anytime I want to, just be like, oh, it's like 10 minutes till the end of the stream. Like, look, let's do a speed run of Mario or something like that. I just feel like having that ability would be nice. And I realized that in order to speedrun things, you need to practice. And I don't want to be the, like, 4.5 minute asshole, so, So I got a 12-minute run the other day, even with, I think, like, my normal speed of stopping and everything else like that, so... yeah, so Nelson, you know, he had a really interesting life, and there was one day when we were up there, so we were up there taking care of him a bunch in the end of life, after Pat had passed, so he was bedbound, and so he had caregivers who came in during the week, but in order to try and, you know, stretch the end of life, you know, expenses a little bit further, we would go out there on the weekends. Hello, Boomer Raiders. Hello, Derek and Shaft and Melissa and Indy and CJ and King and Ollie and the Bobber and Kelly and everyone. Welcome to the stream. I am the Chris who plays games, playing retro games every Monday at 9:15 and whatever I feel like every Friday at 9:15. Tonight we're going to be having a little bit of a more chill stream, celebrating the recent passing of my father-in-law, who was a brilliant engineer at GE during the space race, and has been someone that I was lucky enough to know in the last 15 years of my life as I lived with my wife out here in New England. Oh, shit nuggets! Okay, let's just do that. Like, screw it, screw it, screw it, screw it, oh, damn it. Well, that would have worked really well had he not jumped right then. Ah, well. But yes, welcome very much. Welcome, Boomer Raiders. It's good to see you here, Boomer. I'm happy to see you here. But yeah, so one day he just like literally was just sitting there and like talking and talking and talking. So I have literally like 5 pages of transcript of like that I have not actually gone through much, but of notes that I made while he was sitting there talking. And so like his first job was working in the warehouse at like the space and aeronautics facilities at GE. He is like he was an engineer working on heat shielding for early satellite missions, you know, for like takeoff and other things like that. So, yeah, Leif, it was the lack of CPG. That's what it was. Okay. But yeah, so so he was just like someone who was there and watched it from the beginning, and so he would tell me about, for example, so he was a huge flying fan, so he had a private pilot for much of his life, and was really into planes, and so Jess will tell me stories about the, yep, alright, so this is the one thing I've learned about this Hammer brother, is that after a while, he just gets pissed off and walks toward me. So at some point I've got to figure out how to like actually time my jumps over his hammers if I want to be a real speedrunner, because at this point I literally spend 60 seconds of my run just waiting for this guy to get pissed off and come at me so I can jump over him without dying. Which is faster than dying and having to go back, but a lot slower than having some kind of system by which you don't have to do that. There we go. So yeah, so Brad, that was only less than 13 minutes in order to beat the game, and that's with a death and other things like that. So that's overall pretty good. But like I said, I'd like to be able to do it in 10, and then you know. No, I'm not gonna. I said at least I would stay around until the CPG rant of the evening, even though I don't have a topic for a CPG rant. So, for those of you who are new here and don't know, I'm the Chris who plays games, and I am a YouTube employee who works on video infrastructure. So my job is to worry about buffering and other things like that. Earlier, someone mentioned that there'd been so much buffering in streams lately, man. I'm being sarcastic, but it has been a real issue, and we recently identified a pretty major issue that was causing something along the lines of like 6% of streams to have massive 45-second long buffers intermittently. And so if you are a routine stream watcher, then this is something you would have run into. And so so we just fixed that recently, which is great. I'm super happy we were able to do that. And so there should no longer be those 45-second long buffers for effectively absolutely no reason. And that should be fixed. So yeah, so right now I'm running in the like experimental like super low latency mode, and so the idea behind that mode is that we're trading off additional buffering for additional buffering for latency. Unfortunately, I think that trade-off is perhaps a little bit on the like not great side at the moment. So that's one of the things that once I get back in the office, I'm going to be helping measure, because the amount of buffering, spine shield spreading buffering is something like 4 times higher, which is higher than I think is really practical to ship as a feature. So it's something to dig into. But yes, so the very long buffering issue should hopefully be fixed. If you type !buffer in this chat or check on my Twitter, there's a link to a forum where you can report issues with live stream buffering, and I use that as a signal for various problems and let people dig into them, and it is in fact how we have identified that we did have a problem and identify what the problem was. So that's definitely something to look at if you are if you are running into buffering. You know, I've tried to collect this information and share it to the appropriate teams. The live infrastructure team is one of the best ones at YouTube for being super responsive to problems, and I have been really happy with their efforts. But sometimes it's just a complex system and shit is broken, so. I think the ultra low latency has like some problems that are just like, the stream just doesn't work. I'm pretty sure that ultra low latency just does not work in Edge. I did not actually realize that was the problem. I thought it was my internet, but I'm realizing now that maybe it's not my internet. It's just Edge. It doesn't work on some, like if you watch directly on a TV app, it doesn't work directly on a TV app. It doesn't work on like on a Xbone and probably a PS4, although I haven't tested. Things like that. So there are a lot of like things where it just doesn't work. And if it seems like it's working better, it's probably just your imagination. Or you saw my stream last week where I had a bunch of Comcast issues in addition to everything else. So as I looked down at my like OBS and noticed that Comcast is probably having issues. So one of the things that I really loved about Nelson is just like, he would just like throw a name out there, and be like, oh yeah, I worked with this guy at GE, and I would look up his name, and he would be, he's like the like emeritus director of research at all of General Electric. And General Electric, although I know it's no longer the name that it once was in household names, was at one time a really big name in everything. So they were huge in everything, and so like he'll just toss out like, yeah, you know, this guy who's been like hugely instrumental in all of the research in some area, yeah, I worked with him at GE for my first 6 months there, or anything else like that. Like, he just had so many people he just like knew and would just like toss off their names, and I'd be like, I have no idea who that is, and I'd like Wikipedia it or like Google it, and it'd be like, here's a Wikipedia article about like the most important person in whatever field he was in. And he just did a ton of that, and some of the stuff he still wouldn't talk about even, you know, a decade later. I mean, so Mike, I don't know how far a ways out is. It is worth noting that there are some externals who already have been testing it. I think that the big thing to fix is to fix the issues where it basically just doesn't work at all. And so, like, I know Celso Luis mentioned he was basically unable to watch my stream or Barbara's stream on Friday. I know that we have at least one bug with TVs that has to be fixed before we can roll it out. And then, like, Edge, I would argue, should probably be fixed. I know that there's a lot of frowning down on Edge, but it is still, I think, a pretty significant browser. God damn it! I keep thinking he's going to keep jumping, and he always runs into that bullet bill. I make the same mistake every freaking time. So, and then fixing China is the one question that I need to figure out an answer to, right? So, like, one of the things about the no DVR mode means that when you buffer, you jump back to head, and you don't keep enough of a buffer to kind of stay playing well. And that's something that we have to figure out, like, and we've got some adaptive code that's meant to improve that, so that if you fall off head, you will, instead of like jumping all the way back, you will keep enough buffer in your client that you don't just immediately buffer again. And I have the feeling that maybe that isn't tuned quite right at the moment, and I think is something that we are actively working on tuning. So that would allow China to be like everything else is, insofar as if you fell off of head, you could get back onto it normally. So yeah, absolutely. And that just basically comes down to Edge implementing more restrictive DRM that makes Netflix happy. So Yeah, so Edge not going to live is like a general live problem. I can't get it to work at all. In Edge, like on my internet, it just literally will play like not at all. It will play like 4 milliseconds every little while, and then it will seek again and get stuck. And I think that's a symptom of the same problems that make China bad. Is if you're constantly skipping too much and not buffering enough, then that's bad. But in order to minimize latency, you obviously don't want to buffer a ton either. Hello, Sophie Raiders, Mike Ryewolf, and Kin. It is good to see you here. I'm the Chris who plays games, playing retro games every Monday at 9:15, whatever I feel like every Friday at 9:15. Tonight we are, in addition to playing video games, where I'm just going to be speedrunning-ish, working on learning the speedrunning for Super Mario, also talking about my recently passed father-in-law and some of the cool things that he did. One of the things that he mentioned is that he worked at the Advanced Engineering Lab developing magnetron and magnetic drums. And I thought that was pretty cool. Apparently they were competing against Motorola for something. God damn it. Hey, we killed a... Wow, we had 39 different people stop through here. Thank you very much for all those raids. Oh my god, that sucks. Oh, that's right. So, apparently when Jess's first oldest sibling was born, her dad had maybe been a little bit early in getting his wife pregnant before they were quite married, and so he was seen as a bad guy by her parents, and as a result of that was forced to wait in the waiting room when he went into when the baby was being born. So the family was upset enough about his relationship with their daughter that he was not allowed in the room, which I was something I didn't know. Apparently there was also like a fire that got started in the house that he lived in that he maybe got blamed for. So hello, Dada Ro Meme. God damn it. They were in college. They were not seniors in high school. They were in college. So this was late 1940s, I think. No, this would have been the 50s, actually. Oh, right. There's a mushroom up there that I want. Can I get it without getting hit by you? Yes. Alright, cool. Yeah, so this is one of the things that makes a difference between like a real speedrun and my speedruns, is that I still need I need more protection than a speedrun would give me. So as a result, I do not have all the skills to pay the bills that you might have from a real speedrunner. Meaning that I actually like go back and get... What the fuck? How come that turtle passes right through that freaking thing? I cannot believe it. Thank you very much, Scott Beatty, for coming in with that Sophie raid. I appreciate it. Sophie Brecka is a friend of mine. I've met her several times, and she is the sweetest little thing. And when I say little, I do mean little. She's short. Man, she's short. Exactly. They had to be married off. Yeah. That's exactly right. So without being married off, you know, he had a very upset set of family around. So they did get married before the kid was born, but it was one of those, you know, it's interesting that apparently for first children, the time between weddings and a child being born, like the gestation period for first children right after a wedding is surprisingly short. You know, it's almost like it takes less than 9 months to birth a child after getting married for that first one. So it's a very strange coincidence. Oh, fuckity, fuck. Yeah, so you can tell that I am definitely in good shape here. Oh yeah, okay, here we go. There was a guy living in their ground floor apartment in the rooming house that they were staying in. who was looking for a job, and he was apparently going to do some grass burning and accidentally caught the back of the house on fire. So there was a giant 55-gallon drum of oil there, which caught fire. So they figured out that they had to leave. They grabbed the piggy bank, the dachshund, a bag of books, his bag of school books, and a rifle. Unfortunately, in the process, the dog got scared and ran under the bed, so they had to run back into the burning house to get the dog out of the, out from under the bed. So her dad, when he heard about this, came down about 160 miles from northern Maine in about an hour and brought her home. Nelson finished up the semester, although he did say his grades weren't quite as good. And in the process, when he went around to get notes from people because his house had burned down and burned down all his notes in it, found out who his real friends were. So I thought that was an interesting set of stories to hear from him. Yeah, Van Helsing, it does. So yeah, that's just one of the many stories. This is when Patricia was 6 months pregnant at the time and still going to school. So both of them finished up at University of Maine and ended up, she was a history teacher for years, I think, when Jess was younger, living in New York before they moved to New Hampshire, and then was, and then did a bunch of volunteering and worked the polls and did volunteer tax work. And he was, as I said, he worked in the state legislature in New Hampshire and did all these other things as well, so. I would say Mikey. So Mikey L the Gamer. I think Sophie Brecka is probably approximately 5 feet tall. I think so. You know, I'll let you make your own decision. For you, I think that would probably be resting on the head level. But I may be giving Sophie too little credit. I don't know. She'll probably yell at me like, no. I am 5'1" and 0.7 inches tall, sir. And I'll be like, oh, you're right. Also, I have revealed personal information about her, so you know she's gonna like I'm gonna have revealed her security questions, which is how tall are you or something. But yes, it was funny because I was saw both of them at PAX East, and I was amused because she and Lucifer. Well, say no problem, Judge Gaming. I do not need to put up a timer. I disagree. Since most of the time I fail, I'm just gonna keep like not having a timer for now until I feel like I'm a little bit more not shitty. Also, I was trying to configure a split timer, but I just ran out of time. I know that that's kind of ironic that I ran out of time to configure a split timer, but it is the case. Oh god. But yeah, so Judge Gaming, I'm glad you enjoyed that video. It is I think that, you know, I do kind of feel a little bit bad that my title is Get Rich Quick on YouTube and my topic is You Can't, so I don't know how to okay, so Super Mario Bros. Any percent download failed apparently. Let's download this. They all gonna fail? Boop. I want to go around here. So, like, getting a timer on screen is, like, surprisingly difficult, I feel like. Like, I don't know, like, OBS doesn't have a time. Why? What is with this? I don't know what this is, but, like, I don't like it. It's, like, the first time I've ever seen that, so. Anyway, so after this run, when I tell some more Nelson stories, we will switch to having a timer of some kind on the screen. But yeah, so he was actually involved in an early education program at GE where basically they paid for his master's degree and like he had like a set of rotations where he was doing like 6 months in different job roles. And so he got to do a lot of interesting different stuff across a relatively short period of time at an interesting point in time, because this was, as I said, in the like early 60s, in the middle of the space race. And so he, you know, just commented that you know, even many years after the fall of the Soviet Union, he still had very negative opinions on the Soviets. And there's a lot of stuff that he did that was still like classified and other stuff like that many years later. But as I said, like at one point he was talking about Packard airplanes and yes, sure. And so he was talking about how Packard actually stole their early wing designs by literally like just going out on the field and like copying, like taking like tracing paper and tracing a wing design from another airplane that was out on the field that was like a popular one at the time. And so this was like, because at the time like designing wings was like dark magic. Like this is not like something anyone could do. And so to spend all that engineering time on building wings was you know, it was corporate espionage. Just like go out and steal their plane designs, which I thought was an interesting story as well. So that was before his time, but it's something that he knew as a result of working in the aeronautics industry. Now, sorry, Van Helsing, you were asking why I was thinking of missing the stream. The reason is because I was at the wake for my father-in-law until about, well, the wake and the dinner afterwards until about 9 or 8:50 at night. So I was not sure I was going to stream after that. There we go. I'm 5'9". You almost certainly outweigh me. Whew! That was almost very dumb. Okay, so if I can get through these Hammer Brothers and actually get a Fire Flower, it will be a great benefit to me. So let's see if I can actually do that! Oh god. Okay. So now the question is, I can get a Fire Flower, can I keep it? Celso, can you see it? A wake is, yeah, like a viewing of the body before a funeral. So a funeral is where you actually bury the body, but the wake is like people come in and they say their condolences and everything else like that. Come on, drop down, drop down. There we go. Oh god, don't run right into the hammers. Oh, there's another thing right there. God damn it. So that would have been really good to know, like, at any point when I have ever played this game, is that there's another, like, power-up on the second from the left block there. Because that means that if I start off this level with nothing, I can still end up with a Fire Flower if I'm careful. So that's good to know. So Celso Louise, is the stream working for you tonight? Oh god. Come on. Buffering a little, but you can watch it at least a little. I do like that that piranha plant just disappears because of something about the way that the warp pipe works does that. Oh god. Alright, you get out of here because I don't want to do that. I mean, it's you is relative, Celso. I'm still in this experimental mode that means that your internet is going to be something that matters more, so don't if you can't watch at a low resolution, I still consider it our bug, even if your internet is contributing. You're getting buffering often? Okay. Good to know. Yeah, like I said, I meant to turn off the experimental mode now that I know a little bit about it, but... yeah, that's one of those things where it's like, you know... Oh! Okay. No! Fuckity fuck. I actually figured out how to get past the damn thing, and then I go ahead and die. Yeah, so I'll have to dig in and see if the Sophie buffer was probably caused by like my Comcast connection or something, and I just missed it. It's one of the things that I really wish OBS had was a like historical line chart of the throughput. It can be really hard to know that you were just dropping, you know, content if you're not paying attention to it. So it's something that I'm thinking about whether I can figure out a way to do that or something like that. That honestly, I have way less trouble with Bowser than that Hammer Brother, because Bowser, like, you don't really have to be careful with what comes after him. You just run and hit the stupid like hammer, or axe, I guess. But with the Hammer Brother, you have to be. Like this guy, I just stand here and wait for him to jump. There we go. Okay. So, let's see. Settings. So I'm trying to figure out how to... Okay, let me turn off the sound. And actually, what we're going to do here is I'm going to do this. No. I've been paying a little bit more attention to retro gaming and how retro gamers do on other platforms lately. Previously, I just paid a lot of attention to YouTube, and, you know, I realized the retro scene wasn't that big, and so on and so forth. And I know that a lot of people watch retro. Like, in my head, I have this idea that, of course, like, there's a lot of demand for retro content out there. But as I've paid more close attention, what I've come to realize is that, no, not really. There is certainly a huge demand for retro content that is speedrunning. Speedrunning or competitions or other things like that. There's a huge demand for it. You know, thousands of people will watch speedrunners. I mean, Seth Bling probably makes a tidy, you know, maybe not a princely sum, but makes a tidy sum every month off of his, you know, various hacks and other things like that around Super Mario Maker and Minecraft, or, you know, playing Atari on the Minecraft, or his Super Mario World credits hacks or other things like that. And so there's clearly a fair amount of demand for some of this type of content. But other than that, just people doing kind of run-of-the-mill gameplay of streams or anything else like that, there's not actually a lot of demand for it. And initially I thought this was a YouTube thing, right? Like, oh, YouTube has historically been, you know, not about this kind of live gaming stuff, and so the retro stuff isn't here, blah, blah, blah. And I looked recently at Twitch because I was having a conversation with people, and I was like, oh, it's not just YouTube. It's just that this content, like, is not really highly watched. So I looked through the top 50 games in Twitch, and there were no retro games that sorted by as Twitch's default by viewership. And there were 2 retro games in the top, which means that they were games that had more than, I think, like 300 people at the time watching. And there were 2 retro games at the top plus the retro category. But the 2 retro games that were near the top each had one person speedrunning with 1,000 to 3,000 people watching, and another like 3 or 4 streams with like 12 people watching. I'm like, oh, okay. So like A Link to the Past is totally possible to pull in like one person who does speedrunning and has 3,000 people watching, but there is no other audience for that. Like, there's no one else watching Link to the Past streams. You got 3,500 people here, and the rest of them have 14 put together. I said, okay, well, there's a retro category. Maybe everyone just put stuff in the retro category, right? So I pulled up the retro category, which is like a mishmash of people putting things that would be on other games, but they want to be in retro. Maybe it's they have more discovery. I don't really understand why people use retro over other things. Maybe it's games they don't have. I don't know, right? And so I'm like, I don't know. I'll just do this anyway, right? And so I looked it up, and I'm like, oh, yeah, there's 700 people here, but the biggest stream has Well, no, the biggest stream was another speedrun and had 500 people. And then the next biggest stream was 35. And they went through for a while more, and this is basically the trend I saw. Like, you know, you have one big stream where people are watching speedrunning, and then you have a handful of little streams. But there's no audience for, you know, 50 to 100 people watching a normal Let's Play of a retro game. It's just not there. Like, it's not that I'm doing something wrong. I mean, I'm doing something a little bit wrong as far as that's what I'm playing, but it's not that I'm doing something wrong in that. And in fact, I think that one of the things I've come to believe is that Twitch does not have a lot of support for variety streamers to begin with. You know, changing games all the time is a way to is not an effective way to build an audience, because you'll get people who drift in and out as you play games and don't play games and everything else like that. It's just not really effective. But for retro specifically, I was a little bit surprised to realize like how much or how little, I guess, there was. And it makes me feel a little bit better, right? If I can pull in 25 people here watching me play a retro game on a Monday night, like, I'm doing pretty good in the big scheme of things. You know, if I wanted to be a speedrunner, or if I wanted to create more interesting content, I could do that. But if I wanted to create non-gaming content, I could go do that, you know, instead. But for what I'm doing, I feel like I'm doing pretty well. And I feel like even on the days when I've only got 12, I feel like I'm doing pretty well. In the big scheme of things, there just is not a lot of audience for retro content on YouTube or Twitch or Beam or anything else like that. Yeah, sometimes you'll get a novelty stream, you'll get a speedrunner, you'll get something else like that. But the day-to-day average, there's just not that much out there. So yeah, that's one of the things that I came to realize, is just that, you know, overall, retro streaming is nice, but it's not something that is, it's not all that common. It's not all that popular. It's not something that there's a lot of demand for. So, anyway, in about 4 minutes, we'll, take a break. Yeah, well, so like I said, it's very easy to look at the numbers, to see the numbers and say like, oh my gosh, like 700 people are watching this guy play Legend of Zelda or anything else like that. And I think that that's a true statement, but I feel like a lot more of it is just like that it's limited to a very small niche of content. And so there are very few people who can bring, very few types of content and very few people who can bring that in. And the reality is that I will never be the most interesting person in the room. I will never be the one guy. I will never be these things. I will never be the one. And so that's just something that I have come to accept, and that's okay. But it means that I should not be comparing myself to the 100% or whatever else like that. I should be comparing myself to people who are like me. And in the people like me zone, I do pretty fucking well. So, you know, there's that. So MDWB, it's not specific to live gaming, it's specific to this stream and the testing feature that I am running currently. I am not the one. It's a nice dream that I am the one, but I am not the one. So this is an effort to test the functionality for much lower latency for interaction, and I think we realized on Saturday that it does not work with TV apps. So Celso, I don't know if you can hear me, but if you could fill out that form, I'd appreciate it. So that's one of the things that I want to work on, is that I think Celso and Brad in Brazil and China are the types of problems that I am concerned about, because I believe that they're both these kind of marginal internet connections that are very difficult for us to get right in this mode, and an area where I think we need more investment. Yeah, so Brad is basically suffering in the situation where I think that his, like, anything without DVR right now probably would have a similar problem. Would be my guess. So yeah, Julie was using this feature earlier, but is not now. Fuck, fuck. Fuckity fuck, fuck, fuck. Fuck, fuck, fuck! Yes, that seems the most likely to solve the problem, if I were to guess. Get out of here, you fucker. Oh, come on! My fireball just, like, disappeared. What's up with that? Fuck. Alright, so I am going to... I'm trying to decide if I should... Alright, we're gonna do CPG Rant after we finish this run or run out of lives, whichever happens first. Because I haven't thought of a topic yet. So, if you would like to know something about the world or have me be angry about something, if you want to hear something about life, politics, or otherwise, if you want to just see me rant angrily about a topic that you think I might be willing to rant angrily about, this is your time, your chance, your opportunity to control the CPG rant of the evening. Just tell me what you think I should be mad about, and I will tell you why I'm mad, as much as I can. I don't know, I think so. Oh, fuckity fuck fuck. Seriously? Take care, Celso. Have a great night. North Korea is hard to get upset about. They're a bunch of saber-rattling fools. Okay, net neutrality. Good. Got it. Eggs sticking to pans isn't a problem I really have because I don't really cook. Agile software development I have been lucky enough to largely avoid. I know that it exists as a thing, and even some of my coworkers have had to run into it. Not at Google in particular, but in various places. But I have been lucky enough so far to not deal with it directly, and so I only hate the hype and don't really hate the actual implementation. I have been to a Hardee's at some point in my life, I believe, but not so much that I would know how to offer a meaningful critique of what you asked for, Mike. This is one of the problems about, like, asking other people for CPG rants, is that the things that I can be angry about are actually limited. I do not just have the ability to be angry on command. So, yeah. Alright, so we're gonna run this until I win or until I hit 10 minutes on the clock, whichever comes first. So we'll see how it goes. No, I'm gonna do a net neutrality rant. It is not even an issue. Oh fuck. Thank you very much, Org. I appreciate the help, and I'm sorry for the bad experience. This is one of the things that my my first girlfriend's dad said, that we should hire the people who, like, introduce the packaging around electronics to store our nuclear waste. It is clear that they have skills that are beyond the very best in the business at storing things such that no one can ever get them back out. Oh, that was better than I thought. Did not actually think that I could make that jump like that. Okay, okay. So this is one of the problems with the, well, seriously? God damn it. Making the working from home policy more strict in a company that has like 10 people feels counterproductive. Fuck! So Max Joseph, reporting problems in Brad Pritchard streams is like pretty much a lost cause. Since he streams from China, it's not that like reporting that information isn't totally useless, but almost every time there's a problem with streaming from Brad's stream, it's because of Brad's connection through China, and that's something that's very difficult for me to fix, as China intentionally blocks YouTube. So while I do have, you know, access to information which can help tell me exactly where the problem is, I know where the problem is. The problem is China. And there is very little that I can do about it because China's position is you shouldn't use YouTube in the first place. So it's very difficult to get a working streaming solution there. The fact that Brad can do something at all is what the hell. Harborough, I am streaming in exactly the way that I'm gonna play. What I am attempting to do is to learn how to play better so that I can do speedruns. As I said earlier, my goal for the evening was actually to run up with a sub 10-minute run, even though I know that's pretty shitty. Obviously at the moment I'm not doing that, but I did, I think, have about a 9-minute run earlier. So, you know, every speedrunner's got to start somewhere. And it's just, for me, it's not here tonight. So, I'm doing something a little bit different than my normal stream because my father-in-law passed away last week and today was the wake. And as a result, I am, you know, not doing a full 4-hour stream where I might be able to beat a game, which would be my normal. And instead I'm trying to learn how to, you know, not suck, which I know is kind of difficult, so. I appreciate the thought, Harborough. Anyway, now that I've died, which I said was going to be my thing, we are going to switch to the CPG rant of the evening. Boop, boop. Net neutrality is an absolute necessity in a world where information runs on the internet. I'm the Chris who plays games, and this is your CPG rant of the evening. Net neutrality rules are not designed to achieve some stunning business purpose. They're not designed to protect some industry bullshit. And net neutrality rules are not designed to do anything other than ensure access to information, which is crucial in the information age. Now, when Todd Wheeler, who was the dingo in the dingo ate my baby sense of the word, was the FCC commissioner, a former cable company executive, even he figured out that regulation of ISPs as common carriers or as a neutral parties that were not able to pick a different path and give people extra treatment and treat things unfairly was important. Now, that treatment under the net neutrality rules that were set up by Wheeler in the previous administration was, I will admit, limited in some ways. In many ways, in fact, that were important. For example, zero rating being done by various mobile ISPs is entirely within the realm of what is allowed by net neutrality rules as passed under the Wheeler administration. But the new steps from Ajit Pai, the new commissioner of the SEC, are completely ridiculous and counterproductive. We are living in a world where the FCC is intentionally taking away the limited steps it has made so far in order to protect consumers. And treating this as an entirely market-based operation in a world where there is no competition. Because do not be fooled, in the US there is no competition for ISPs. There is no competition because I can't get a different high-speed internet provider in my town. There is no competition because that statement is true for 62% of households, and for 82% of households it's true that they can only get one of two, who oftentimes collude with each other to set prices and speeds. We live in a world without competition. And in a world without competition, we can't allow markets to solve the problem for us. Now, granted, at least in the mobile space, we actually do have some competition. In the mobile space, we have Sprint and AT&T and T-Mobile and Verizon, and although their service areas do not 100% overlap and not every user has access to all four of those things, it is at least the case that there's a chance. And we've seen this. We've seen the effects of competition. We've seen that Verizon has added an unlimited plan. We've seen that T-Mobile has done zero rating to a number of music service providers. We've seen all types of different things that come as a result of this competition. And while it's certainly still the case that mobile providers are nowhere near where they need to be in order to provide an alternative to fixed line service, it is certainly the case that they are doing something and trying. The internet is a necessity for life in the modern age. The internet is a necessity for life because information that is crucial to living your life is available there, and to not have that information available is to keep yourself in a world of information poverty that is subject and causing many of the problems that we face today. As I look around at the access to information that people have in rural America, it's no surprise to me that they're underinformed about the facts of the world going on today. It's not just that they don't have Twitter, it's that they don't have anything other than what's broadcast over the airwaves for the one TV station they can get from 43 miles away, because the infrastructure needed in order to create working information delivery is not being created. We live in a world where we should be investing in countrywide infrastructure to provide fiber optic network to every home. We live in a world where people should be able to get access to things to learn more about the world around them, and they fucking can't. And I'll admit that infrastructure projects aren't sexy. I'll admit that building fiber to every home is an expensive undertaking, one that would provide returns only on the matter of decades, but it has to be done. We have to create a better internet in this country. We cannot do it via market competition forces because the ISPs are explicitly colluding to not compete with each other. We can't do it because every time you turn around, another major ISP is buying another ISP. Charter, TWC is buying Charter, AT&T is buying somebody else, and every time I turn around, you've got another step towards the lack of information being maintained as the status quo forever. Where ISPs are no longer limited by the privacy rules set up by the Order on Communications when the FCC supports this. Where giving away your private information to any advertisers become the norm, and where you have no choice. Because what are you going to do? Get off the internet? We need a better system. We had a better system. And maybe we can get it back. But at the moment, the FCC has made it clear that they don't intend for the net neutrality rules under the Wheeler administration, even those ones that are still in place, to maintain their state and be enforced. At this time, we have no one who is investing in long-term investments for infrastructure around internet speeds. At this time, we have no expectation that anything other than monopolies will ever exist. And while monopolies exist, we have things like streaming bitrate, byte transfer caps, where you can't transfer more than 1 terabyte, or Comcast will charge you $50 per gig. It's craziness. We have situations where Comcast and other large providers will force people who want to send content to them to pay, so they take the money from you, the customer, and the money from Google or Netflix or anyone else, the service provider, and charge on both ends for a service that they are meant to provide. We have situations where, when they don't get that money, they simply won't connect extra bits, and you'll be forced to watch YouTube or Netflix or whatever at slow speeds. We have a world where we're all totally fucked. And every time we turn around, we're just making the situation worse. Net neutrality is a crucial part of the success of the future in this country. I'm the Chris who plays games. Vote net neutrality. Harbo, that's not really true. I realize that you're trying to pass some kind of narrative here, but I have already beaten Mario twice tonight. So, while I do agree that the run you saw was not effective in beating it at all, I don't think that your statement in general is true. Hello, Matus, how's it going? Mini Shufel, I am sorry that you were going to hang yourself. That seems very unfortunate. And I would recommend against it. Welcome to the stream, everybody. I'm the Kush who plays games, playing retro games every Monday, 9:15, whatever the fuck I feel like every Friday at 9:15. Tonight, I am spending some time learning how I am going to beat Super Mario in less than 10 minutes. So far tonight, we've beaten Super Mario twice, and failed to do so twice. And we're going to keep playing tonight. If you are not excited about my version of speedrunning, I totally understand, and you can criticize me all the time for what I put in the title or anything else like that. I totally understand. Yeah. Yeah, the only problem, Mikey L. the Gamer, is that Spectrum, That's true, Matus. My CPG rant should have been like on the economies of scale of chicken nuggets, and why the fuck is it that chicken nuggets at that some chicken nuggets are more expensive than others, that the more chicken nuggets you buy, the more it costs you. Like, it should not cost twice as much to buy a 10-piece, like, a nugget in a 10-piece set as it does to buy it in a, like, non-10-piece set. So, that's silly. Nico, I'm giving this one a little bit of room because I was actually playing badly enough that I was upset about it beforehand, but we are pushing close to the asshole threshold, and it's a little bit low tonight because, you know, as I said, my father-in-law just died, so fuck you. I'm gonna play the dead dad card all I want, because this guy who is very important to me for many years of my life has recently passed away, and for you to try and come in here and tell me how the fuck to play? Spectrum in LA at the moment is having like weird problems at peak hours, specifically immediately after midnight Eastern time or 9 p.m. Pacific. There is a like weird spike in user complaints and a weird drop in YouTube user experience, so... Oh, I should have actually started my speedrunner, my timer. God damn it. I thought I hit the right button, but I did not. Yeah, Harbaugh, you're cruising for a bruising at the moment. You may want to rethink that. God damn it. I know, Matus. It's awesome. I'm gonna have the fastest Mario run ever. I do wonder a little bit about this stupid block, though. This one right here is giving me... There we go. Alright. Blake, I love you, Blake. Blake Drake Strike, my friend. I appreciate that you are here. Sorry, the CPG rant kind of distracted me. But I am paying attention to you now. My guess would be YouTube didn't work. I mean, to be fair, if you worked at TWC any time before quite recently, TWC deserved every bit of criticism it got. There were, I mean, this whole net neutrality complaint stems in part from a pretty decent understanding of how the internet works, who's willing to pay and who's not, and so, you know, I know a little bit about where the bodies are buried, and so some of it changes over time, of course, with the Spectrum TWC, or sorry, Charter TWC merger. Amazingly enough, regulatory agencies actually like made reasonable choices about what you're required to do, which is shocking to me, but you know, was impressive. So for a little while at least, they'll be in a better situation than they were before. All right, let's go. Oh, okay. That was different than what I expected. I will admit. Drop the missile. Hello, casual bird. Welcome to the stream. I'm the Chris who plays games, running into a stupid frickin' thing. Alright, let's just get through here. I'm tired of waiting for that stupid extra life! Okay. Let's not do that. Well, we'll just do that. There we go. Problem solved. Okay, that guy's gonna bounce into that thing and then come back, which I always get hit by him, but not this time! See, there's things like that that I'm learning. I am learning from some of my mistakes. Not that one, though. Hello, Ionic Wolf and Steven and Metaros and Weirmusin and Creo and everybody. Welcome to the stream. I am the Chris who plays games, and I'm happy to have you here tonight. I am interested if you experience buffering. There's an ! Buffer command that Nightbot can tell you a link to submit feedback on. I am interested in learning more about your experiences, so drop your debug info in there as it requests, along with a comment on your experience, and I will love you forever. 10,000 lifetimes together, and that's so much for you to do. Whoa! Hello, Rage Decor. Hello, hello. God damn it. Fuck it. Okay, so I believe I can jump there, but I did not make it. Okay. So yeah, it's important to learn little things like the fact that you can jump from that green pipe and actually make the jump. Never knew that before. I thought you always had to do the stupid, like, stand on the edge of forever and do that. So that's a good thing to learn. It may be helpful if I can ever get there and actually do it. Get out of here. The Black Drago 309, welcome, welcome. Mistledine Online, how's it going? Fuck, that was stupid. So that was my opinion as well, Harbo. That the timer was irrelevant, but I was told that that was not true. That the timer was relevant by one of my viewers. So I listen to the power of the people. You know what? You can, like, if you want to come back and be less of an asshole, you are welcome to do so. If you come back and continue to be an asshole, you're just gonna get banned. So please don't, because I don't really like banning people. I kind of like it when people don't get banned, but... Yeah, it's not super met yet, but it's just buffer. ! Buffer, not buffering. There you go. Okay. Mistledine Online, I'm decent. I was just earlier tonight at the wake for my father-in-law, celebrating the life of probably the smartest engineer that I will ever meet. And, you know, unfortunately, celebrating it in terms of, you know, he's passed away. So that's kind of sad, but there's always more to discover. But as I said, he was 79 years old. He'd lived a long and full life, was experiencing a lot of difficulty in his latter years, was bedbound and other things like that. So for him, it's probably for the best that this is what it's come down to. He passed away while he was still, you know, aware of himself and cognitively aware and everything else like that. So it's generally a good position to be in. So thank you very much, Steven. Yeah, I mean, like, I got a chance to know him over the past year. You know, his wife passed away last year, last July, and he's really been ready to go ever since then, I think. He's just like, I just want Pat back. And I'm like, yeah, well, unfortunately, I cannot do that for you. So, you know, it's as sad as it is, it's always, you know, an ending of suffering is always good. So, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you, or positive thoughts. Thank you. Alright, so let's see how we do this time. Your Xbox Live runs out at midnight tonight. That is very unfortunate, Darcidius. I am sorry to hear that. I feel like that's almost as bad as my father-in-law passing away, I'll tell you. Alright. There's probably like a much faster way to do this, because I feel like the speedrunners I've seen do it very differently. But yes, he's in a better place now. If there is an afterlife, hopefully he's dancing a jig with his wife now that he can walk again. If there's not an afterlife, well then at least he's not suffering in pain anymore, and those are both good things. Boom shakalaka. Yeah, so 3 minutes to get to there is not good, but it's not terrible. Definitely needs to improve. But yeah, I mean, one of the things that I've always said about this channel is that I will never be the speedrun master. Using speedrun in the name of the stream even is perhaps disingenuous, but I just felt like it, so fuck you too. Ooh, there we go. We'll grab the star. Oh, fuck. No, we won't grab the star. Shut up, brain. Hello, moth. Okay. The moth radio hour. Oh, God. That jump there, when I was a kid, that jump was the end of my life so many times. Like, I'm pretty sure that the only reason that I never beat Mario was that jump. Hello, Grand Warfare. Hit Giss. I don't know what that means. Hello, Max Doloff. Alright. That's 8-1 done at 4:06. Okay. Fuck! So this is the jump that I was having trouble with before, so I think I'm going to do this the stupid way. Because that's the way that I know how to do it. I need to, I think, work on that pipe jump, but... Fuck! I only wanted to keep my fire flower. I came pretty close, too. I would have had it, too, if it weren't for your stinking kids. How long have I had this channel? I've had this channel about 18 months. I've, oh, yeah, you like my hat? So I've had this channel about 18 months. I started it shortly after YouTube Gaming launched, so that's almost 2 years, but I started streaming regularly on November 10th of 2015. Wow, it's been a long time. So yeah. I started shortly after the Extra Life streaming marathon. I started streaming regularly on Mondays, and about 3-4 months later, I started streaming regularly on Fridays as well. So on Mondays, the reason I started doing that is because I wanted it to be able to play both retro games and modern games, and I found that I got pushback from my community when I tried to do both on Mondays, because they were like, hey, I thought this was a retro streaming channel, and so I decided that I would add a second night that could be about whatever I wanted to play. Oops, I did not do this. Da-da-da-da. Arbo, I put you in timeout for being a dick. It's not joking about Mario Brothers, it's just being a dick. So no, I put you in timeout for joking about me, and it made me upset. And yes, Brad, I know that you have opinions. I mean, the other thing is that I think that, like, setting reasonable expectations is... I actually have liked the constraints of running the channel the way that I do. So, it's not that I really mind, but I did get pushback originally when I kind of changed things up. And it was only a little bit, but I decided that it was, like, a reasonable complaint, you know? Like, I don't want the bait and switch. That's never been my real approach. I sometimes, you know, am a little bit, you know... willing to mess with things a little bit, but if people feel like they're getting cheated, I don't want other people to cheat it, so. Okay. Fuck! Ah, damn it. I will never play Battletoads again. That is 100% correct. What other retro games do I play? Dave, I've played so many retro games. So I've played games from everything from Atari 2600 games to Super Nintendo games to Sega Genesis to to N64. Like, if it's on a top 25 games list for any of those platforms, I've probably at least considered playing it, although I play relatively few RPGs, so I tend towards platformers. I've played all of Mega Man 1 through 6. I've played, as well as, I think, 7. Is there a 7? I've also played at least a little bit of Mega Man X. I've played Super Mario World. I've played all the Super Mario Brothers. I've played, you know, 1, 2, 3, Lost Levels. Like, I've played all of that. I've played so many things. I've played and I've also played just like random Nintendo games, like NES games. I have literally like just been like, okay, I'm going to pick a random number and then play an NES game based on that random number. All right, cool. So 8:35, that's not bad. Is there like a button for like save as personal best or whatever? I don't know how to do that. Yes. Okay. There we go. Welcome, Fig Newton. Good to see you. Yes, like Ridge Racer. Okay, so first of all, let's make this quiet. And then quickly, I have a button for this. Chrome. There we go. Gaming. Oh, Chris Plays Games. So yeah, I actually have a list of all the games I've played on my YouTube channel, or on my website. And so, like, I have played 264 games across like 17 platforms. So some of the NES games I've played: 1943, Adventures of 3D World Runner, Alien 3, Battletoads, Blades of Steel, Castlevania 1 and 2, although not 3, Clash at Demon Head, Donkey Kong Jr., Dr. Mario, Kid Icarus, Mega Man 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 1's not on here because it's actually on a different channel that I never actually went back, and I guess I should play 1 again. I haven't played it since like my very first YouTube stream. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, Rad Racer, Road Blasters, Stinger, Strider, a bunch of the Super Marios, Tiger Heli, Wario's Woods, etc. So, hey, Gaming Lawyer is here. So whenever Gaming Lawyer is here, we do something very special whenever Gaming Lawyer is here. Fuck. I hate it when that happens. So this is one of the things, I was late getting set up because I had just gotten back, and so my VLC is not properly set up. So we'll try this again. Brian Wilson, the Texas Law Hawk. Good night, Steven.
Brian Wilson, Texas Law Hawk. Brian Wilson, the Texas Law Hawk. Talons of justice. Due process. Do wheelies.
It's hot out here. Brian Wilson. El Hacon de la Ley.
Brian Wilson.
The Texas Law Hawk. Alright. Brian Wilson. Fireworks Safety Special. Oh.
And today, I'm Brian Wilson, the Texas Law Hawk. And today, we're going to talk about fireworks safety! First, leave the fireworks to professionals. Don't shoot fireworks in your cars, churches, hospitals, schools, gas stations, or other structures. Or me! Make sure your lawn is mowed and clean before shooting fireworks. And make sure to shoot them off outside city limits. Follow these rules and you'll be safe like me.
I feel like this is a really bad demo of that, so... You had your AC on, holy cow. So yes, this was published just a few days ago. Brian Wilson, the Texas Lawhawk Fireworks Safety Special. Share it with your friends. And yes, Brian Wilson is literally the best. I agree wholeheartedly. All right, let's get back to the game. Actually, where's my buttons? Settings. Reset. Okay. No one ever said he was a good role model. Nope, that's true. They did not. They said he's the Texas Lawhawk, and he stands by that. Alright, we'll take this. Yeah, so Battletoads and Double Dragon is one of the things that I have not... Oh, god damn it. I missed that jump for no good reason. Battletoads and Double Dragon is one that I have not done. I have done a bunch of other beat-em-ups. I think I've done Double Dragon 1 and maybe I've done Double Dragon. I'm not sure exactly. I have done Final Fight 1, 2, and 3. I've done a bunch of other stuff. So you can actually see everything I've done listed on my website at chrisplaysgames.com. Just look for the games list and it's there. So, alright. It's 1. Oh, hey, look, I beat my previous best segment. I do like Commander Keen. I spent a lot of... I'm actually not sure if I like Commander Keen or if I just have a ton of, like, nostalgia value for Commander Keen. I definitely played it a bunch, but then I realized that, like, it's not a super enjoyable game to either play or watch, so... Am I always updating that list? So I should be, in theory. In practice, I have been lazy the last couple weeks because I've just been dealing with, like, ever since I got my drone, I've had better things to deal with than updating the list, frankly. So, it has not been a priority for me. Oh, why did I do that? Don't. That was dumb. Alright, there we go. Thank you very much. By the way, so there is an RPG that we play in chat. The more we chat to each other, the faster we kill things. So we just killed a doppelganger, and we've got other enemies approaching. So yeah, definitely keep it up in chat. You don't need to spam because spamming does nothing good, but talking back and forth to each other is definitely the way that you kill things. So there you go. So the visually disgusting bit does not get me at all. Like, that's not something I'm even sure I agree with. But I do think that, like, there's a lot of game design aspects that I don't really like. I'm doing better. See? Look, my little times are going down. Sorry, split timers make me happy. I guess they only make me happy when I'm winning and not when I'm sucking. So, you know, I guess that's not... I'm not sure how that works. Okay. I'm also not sure I did all my splits right last time, so... Oh, fuck. Is that gonna work? Okay, it is. Ugh. No! It's not! Fuck. My favorite beat-em-up game is probably Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade version. I realized that that's a crappy answer because most people do not like that game, but again, so much of my game love comes from nostalgia and not from anything else, that's like a big thing for me. So, there's a lot of games that I like that people are like, this is terrible, and even in hindsight, I'm like, this is terrible. So an example of that is, Dino Ricky. Dino Ricky is a terrible game. So like but I love it. Like, it's the first Nintendo game I ever played, and it was, yeah. So it's like a vertical scroller that was the first NES game I ever had. So Mini Ninjas. Bubble Bobble's great. I've done Bubble Bobble. I've actually even done Bubble Bobble with 2 players and got the good ending, which is actually kind of difficult. Like, we beat Bubble Bobble for the first time about 3.5 hours in, and then realized that not only do you have to have 2 people play with you, you also have to have 2 people, like, alive when the boss dies. And so in one case, like, the person I was playing with died, like, you know, 4 seconds before the boss died, and as a result, we didn't get the good ending, and we were so peeved. It was so annoying. Alright. Oh god. Alright, good. Didn't jump into anything stupid. No turtles. Alright. So Airbending Eagle, you like... So I think that the turtle game is one that I think... I don't know. I've just gotten the impression that people don't like it as much, but maybe that's like a completely false impression. And it's really loved. I don't know. That one jump with the one square jump, that's pretty much always the one that I freak out about. I just want both of you to go away. Do you go away? I don't think you do. Oh, the first one's like, I definitely, you know, save stated my butt through the first one recently, and it was definitely rough. Okay, that was a jump. Okay, so the trick to that one is that I have to just keep running. I have previously been trying to do it from like just taking off on that green pipe, and I think that's not gonna work. So almost fell in the pit there. Ooh. Alright, I'm pulling ahead, but the problem is that I don't have a mushroom, and I'm pretty sure that I had a mushroom last time, but I could be wrong. Yeah, so David Cordova, those types of games. So Broforce, I'm not sure I'm into, but I think like retro-inspired games like Shovel Knight are one of the reasons why I have Friday streams in the first place. Because I was like, there's so many cool like indie games, especially out there, that are being built that are like just ridiculously like fun and everything else like that, and in the style of the type of thing I like to play. But they're not really retro. You know, it's a different category, and you know, I should treat them differently. So that's why they get their Friday night slot. Oh no! See, I hate that, like, if you get hit, you lose that, okay. Whew. There we go. So how did I get so far behind there? Maybe I set I must have skipped a split there. Anyway, let's see if I can pull this one out. I got no fire flower, so I'm not going to be able to cheat my way through that hammer brother. I'm just going to have to run with it and hope for the best. This is that one right there is one of the jumps where there's like a frame perfect jump you can do, where you can do a wall jump. And it actually was one of the things that changed the speedrunning record by a lot, is people figuring out like the perfect wall jumps they could do in this game, and as a result we're able to cut, like, you know, significant time off the previous speed records. You know, this game has probably been speedrun by more people than like almost any other, and even relatively recently in time, people are still finding like new things they can do, which is kind of cool. You know, when Seth Bling did his neural networking, his AI, one of the things he was talking about is how, you know, AI and neural networking based things might be able to offer an opportunity for us to kind of improve on existing speedruns, because they might... Oh my god, seriously, he didn't even fucking touch me. That was gonna be the sub 8 run too. My little freaking head was below his hand, I swear to god. Doesn't matter, but so it goes. Yeah, so what I should have done is, I guess, put speedrunning no resets in the thing. So that would have been that's the trick, right? Oh, god damn it. So it's not satire, but it's homage, right? It's homage to parody, to retro games. And to be fair, a lot of these retro games are actually like these retro things are, you know, so for example, Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight actually uses colors that would be emulatable on an NES. They didn't actually get it, like, they were actually considering at one point, like, trying to make the game such that it was playable as an NES cartridge. Now, they didn't end up doing that because there was just too much that, like, they couldn't do that they wanted to include in the game. But the music is composed in FamiTracker, which is a music composer that I've demoed before for NES soundtracks, and makes actual, you know, playable content on the NES. And you're talking like just like lots of different things like that that are you know, really kind of like in true form to the NES game style. And I think that, like, how much retro do you have to be in order to do that, right? Like, does the guy who just built a game that he released on an NES cartridge, like, does that count as a retro game, even though it was released in 2016? So, thanks, David. I appreciate it. But yeah, so I play Mondays and Fridays, and I try and do, you know, I've often joked that I try to make myself more interesting than your AM radio, your AM radio DJ, who I consider kind of like a base level of interestingness that you have to emulate. All right, so I am out of lives, so we will reset this and reset that. Nope, I do not want to update my best times because I did not win. You can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. You should have learned that in about first grade. If you did not, then fuck you, my friend. Go back to first grade. I guess maybe you were born in 95, maybe you're still in first grade, haven't quite made it out yet. See, here's the thing. I get to say not nice things because I'm the boss here, and I have the power. Wah! You were warned. What was it? Nevertheless, she persisted. You were warned. You were asked. You were warned. Nevertheless, he persisted. Boom. Yeah, I mean, so retro-inspired games are like super common. People are constantly investing like in making more and doing other things like that. So I think that the retro, like, as someone joked that at PAX, like the retro, the 8-bit retro theme was like the #1 thing. So, you know, you just saw it everywhere. So I don't think that that's going away anytime soon, especially like the 8-bit style Metroidvania is just like a really common trope at this point. Developers love them because they've seen a little bit of success, and that's, you know, they're like, oh, cool. Like any YouTuber, they see a little bit of success, and they're like, aha, I have to do more of that. So, yeah. Hey, Gidget! How's it going? Oh, God. So, yes, my father-in-law, great guy, worked at GE, helped make the space race happen, helped build some of the fighter planes that are still like common and in use today, was always out there trying to learn something new, just always. Like, that was just what he did all the time. And the world is a sad place for having lost him, but to some extent, because of his disabilities, a lot of him was lost a long time ago. And so having him out of misery is a blessing. And hopefully he's now able to spend time with his wife and be happier. Because definitely in the later years of his life, especially in the last year since his wife died, it's been difficult for him. God damn it. He really is. I mean, and like I said, like, there are not many, well, like, I remember when he told me, like, I'm teaching myself Python, I was, like, confused because, and I shouldn't have been at that point. Like, I'd known him for 5 years. I knew that he was always doing something like that. But just the fact that he was, like, still teaching himself programming languages at, like, 72 years old or 71 years old was kind of crazy to me. Like, that was amazing, because I hope that I am half as mentally nimble at his age as he was. It would be amazing. Fuck. Ugh! Over the hill. Fuck. Gotta jump into that if I want to grab it. Fuck him! Fuck, fuck, fuck. This is my father-in-law was an engineer with GE. And so he worked on all types of projects, but primarily aeronautical engineering stuff. He was also a freelance mad scientist, as his placard said later in life. So those types of jumps right there, like that's another thing that I think I got an opportunity to save a bunch of time on, is those final jumps at the end of 8-1 is something that I need to learn how to do better, so. Okay. How about that? How about that, huh? How do you like them apples? I did not get her number though. I'm gonna grab this. I know it slows me down, but you know what slows me down more? Dying. It's one of those things about learning, is that there's a time for everything. God damn it. But yeah, so he was a scientist and engineer at GE, and a freelance contract scientist for the later years in his life after he retired from there. He worked with U.S. government contracts. He worked for the FAA a lot, so he did a lot of like safety testing and other things like that, as well as review for the FAA, and was big in that space. So that was one of his like major, you know, things that he stuck to and clung to later in his life. What the friggity frick? Okie dokie. Yeah, nope. No. Nothing counts unless I win. But yeah, I'm just going through, I'm attempting to do sort of semi-speed runs, attempting to do them in my own way, and in my own way. I know this is not how speed runs are done in the real world, but in my life, this is how the speed run is gonna be. Yeah, so I was talking about earlier that I like there was just so many stories he told me which I wouldn't have known. Oh yeah, so he was offered a job actually at Pratt & Whitney originally, and the difference between them and GE was that GE offered training to go with it, and so that was the job he took because he wanted to have ongoing training. So he had completed his, I believe, his bachelor's degree at University of Maine, and then was able to engage in an ongoing training master's program with GE, and that was what made the difference for him between one and the other. So, okay. Ba-ba-da. Thanks for subscribing, David. Woo-hoo! Saves a lot of time on that segment. Now let's see if we can keep it up. Ah! So I actually want to try, like, I assume, so I'm playing the Super Mario Brothers version rather than the Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt version, and I'm wondering if the, that block that I've never hit before I started playing this version is actually patched in some way in the next one, so that would be interesting to know. So I might try like the Duck Hunt version and see if that actually changes that particular spot right there any. But yeah, so the engineering program he was in at GE was actually like a really early version of an ongoing like engineering graduate program that still exists, and is like one of the things that sets GE apart is that for some people who get into this program, they will basically pay for you to get a master's degree while working 6 months research stints at different GE plants around the country, which is like pretty cool if you ask me. All right. Now, oh, this next segment is clearly, I didn't time it right since since the next segment after this is apparently only a 2-second segment, so clearly that was wrong. God damn it! That right there. Oh, god damn it. Tank God. Everyone loves Tank God. Aha! Oh no! Oh yeah, so that's that turtle right there. I need to learn to jump faster over because that's what gets me onto the pipe to make that next jump without having to like single step onto that brick. Oy oy oy. Okay. Yeah, that minus 58 seconds is just bullshit because I timed the next one wrong. Oh my god. Fuck. Not sure what I can do here. Okay, how about that? Sounds like a good fix to me. Now, if I can hang on to this fire flower through the end of this next stage, this will be good. Because that gets me through that Hammer Brother in less time, which is a key aspect of being more successful. There we go. One down. A few to go. Take care, Casual Bird. Have a good night. Thank you very much for stopping by, hanging out for a while. I appreciate it. Listening to my random rambling stories. I am going to have to bail pretty soon as well. Normally I stream for 4 hours from 9:15 until 1:15, but I do have to be up at about 6:30 tomorrow morning in order to get up out to the funeral, which is less time than I usually have in the morning, and so I will have to bail earlier than usual tonight, but I appreciate all of you making it out here. I really do. It's always good to have people to talk to when I am streaming. Boom. Okay, sub 8 minutes. That's not bad. For a first time actually doing any meaningful speedrunning of something, I'm gonna say that that's actually a pretty good save splits. Yeah. Is this? Yeah, okay. So now I've got a new personal best, 7 minutes 37 seconds, which is pretty decent. I think I'm gonna treat that as the end of my stream. Well, I think I'm gonna call that better. That's gonna be the end of my Mario play tonight. I'm gonna skim through this story and see if there's a whole bunch of stuff he told me about his father, we're gonna skip through that, and we're gonna talk just a little bit about some other stories that Nelson told me. Hello, my stream deck has crashed apparently. Awesome. Okay, I gotta push buttons like a pleb. Man, what a joke. Yeah, go away. There we go. Okay, some things. When he was at University of Maine, he lived on $1 a week. Coke was 10 cents at the time. So when he went on dates with his then girlfriend, now wife, or then wife, they would just have a Coke because she knew there wasn't any money. So they'd each have a Coke, and then she'd go out with the girls later and have a good time or something like that, where she didn't want him to feel bad about not having money. So, Narcost, no problem, gaming lawyer. So at the end of their junior year, when they were getting pretty friendly, he wanted to get married and talk to her mother and father, and he said, "You're going to finish school." He had practice teaching and had to spend 3 months in a classroom under the guidance of a senior teacher. They got married and had an automobile accident. They got married. They were pulling away from the church, and one of the friends like rear-ended them as they came around a corner. When they were on the honeymoon, they went to Canada, to New Brunswick. The kid, according to him, was that she got pregnant while on the honeymoon. The kid was almost a Canadian. She told her mother she was a little pregnant, and her mother explained that you don't get any less pregnant. We talked a little about the fire. So he worked on the Missiles and Space Division in Philadelphia originally. He worked in the Environmental Control Division, where they were making re-entry shields for warheads for Explorer. Super high vacuum measurement systems for 3 months. Lived in Lynchburg, Virginia for 1 year. Worked in the Advanced Engineering Lab under Azatola Farracruz, who I'm pretty sure looked up his name, and he was somebody who's kind of somebody who existed. I don't know. He worked half his day of classroom work and test taking, and then worked the other half of the day at GE. They had a boarder who helped raise kids when they were living in Virginia. At one point, he made rice pudding, and that rice pudding, or the boarder was like, "Our main staple is rice. Would you eat potato pudding?" So there was that. He published his PhD thesis in the IEEE magazine, A Practical Reliability Evaluation of Embedded Avionics Software, which is basically the life that he lived from that point on, as he worked on, you know, electronics and software and other things like that for the FAA. At one point, he was working on like a Navy contract, and the program manager at GE tried to get him fired. And when the people in the Navy heard about it, they fired the program manager instead. So he was the Navy's guy at GE, and was the head civilian contractor, and was like protected by the Navy higher ups. So there's just lots of cool stories he told me about. Like these are things that you know, he did in his life as a GE engineer, as a scientist, as someone who learned software and did everything else like that. And these are just the things he told me about, right? Like these are just the things that you know, he had done and was able to tell me about even later on in his life. So it was definitely, you know, good to get a chance to know him and have some, you know, knowledge of some of the things that he talked about throughout his life and did throughout his life. He was a great man. It's sad that he has passed away and will not be able to share any more wisdom with me or the rest of the world, but so it goes. I love you all. Narcost, Gaming Lawyer, Nico, Brad, Airbending Eagle, Brandon, and everyone else who is here. David Cordova. David Cordova, my favorite Mario game is Super Mario Bros. 3. Sorry, I didn't actually answer that question. I saw it and thought about it and then didn't answer. Leif and everybody else like that. It has been lovely to see all of you. I will be back on Friday and streaming again. And I will not be streaming from Nashua like I had expected to, because I will not be streaming from there anymore. So, thank you all. Have a great night. I love you. And I will see you on Friday. or not. Bye-bye.